because they're going to be too old 5 years from now.
I had a theory tonight on why we watch so much sports.
Okay.
And it's because we don't have enough going on with our lives. Like if we were like absorbed in a career, you know, if we were absorbed in our family,
like being a sports writer.
if we were absorbed in our shul, like if we were like, you know, flourishing, you know, we wouldn't care so much about sports. But because like I think we both have like this underlying depression, like we look for the instant lift. Like we look, okay, I know that there's one exciting thing that's going on today. There's this game tonight. And then I know there's one exciting thing coming up this weekend. It's this, you know, this game. So it's like sports are these little highs that kind of help us get through life right now because basically we're depressed. And so we get like little highs and like little shots of inspiration and little bursts of excitement that we get in sports that we can't get from our regular lives. From our mundane, regular lives, kind of depressed. But when we get absorbed in a sporting contest or a great movie, we can leave our mundane, depressing lives. It's like, oh, this is exciting. This is what life could be, you know, if I only had more going on. And then, like, the game ends, and then we, like, fall back. But you know,
okay, so let me ask you a question.
That's my theory.
Okay, well, I have a question on your
theory.
theory.
I think that's for me. I'll speak primarily for myself.
Okay, I just want to ask you one question on your theory. There's a lot of people who are married, who have a lot going on in their lives, who are also still involved in sports on a, and I talk to them all the time about it. So,
okay, so the people who are most involved, I think, tend to be the most depressed or have, you know, the biggest problems. I think people who like are leading a healthy, happy, normal life don't paint their faces or, you know, to go to sporting events, you know, with the color of you know, they're not extreme. Like the more time, I believe the more time you devote to sports each week, the more unhappy you are. And I don't think it's necessarily causal. I think it may be just a symptom. Like unhappy people devote more time to sports and escape because they want to escape from their lives. And I think more happy people just do it recreationally. So people who are most emotionally affected by a sporting result, they're also the ones who are the most unhappy. Because I think like unhappy people who are men, they love to latch on to like a sports team and they kind of project into that team all the qualities that they wish they had in their own life, like to be a winner and successful. And so they kind of lose their identity and that of their sports team, like some people do with religion. They're basically unhappy with themselves, but they just throw themselves into Christ. Or they just throw themselves into Torah to the exception of themselves. It's like, oh, I don't matter. You know, all that matters is Torah, Christ, the Dodgers, the Lakers, the Cowboys, whatever. And so they then, you know, locate all their hopes and dreams and their aspirations and what they wish they could be in this team or this religion or a politician like Barack Obama. Like a lot of people like invested their personal happiness in Barack Obama. He was like the symbol for them, and because their own lives were basically empty. So I think the more you're invested in a sports team, the more likely you are to be unhappy.
I'm not disagreeing with you,
yeah.
But I'm saying that sports is such a gigantic business in America. The ratings are off the charts for it. You know, the Super Bowl is the biggest event in America. You know, I predict that the Super Bowl will have more interest than the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden. You know, there's rioting in the streets when a team wins something.
By certain segments, like the black and Latino underclass.
Well, it's a custom that when your team wins,
white people
three black people need to die.
There's no white people out there overturning cars and burning them, generally speaking, when sports teams win franchises. But go ahead.
You know,
it's not Asians either.
So you've got all of that going on, right? So sports is such a phenomenally big thing in America, and we're on the small end of it because there's people who go to the games, and we don't even go to the damn games. I don't know about you, but I haven't been to a game in years of any sport. And there's people that go all the time. They have season tickets and all this. Are you saying that all of these people are depressed?
No.
Is America depressed, and is that why sports are so huge in America? Because Americans are all depressed. I don't know if I buy into
But
that.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying the more involved someone is in following sports, the more likely it is that they're depressed and unhappy. So I'm not saying that all people who follow sports are unhappy or depressed. I'm saying the more involved someone is in following sports, the more likely it is that they're unhappy and depressed. And that on the contrary, the people who have the most going on in their lives are the least likely to be heavily involved in sports. I'm thinking of a survey that was cited in the Washington Post about the difference between people earning over $100,000 a year, that they watch basically 1/3 as much television as people making under $30,000 a year.
Oh, I know.
They work harder. You know,
People, if you're working your ass off all the time, right? You don't have time to watch TV.
you don't have time to watch.
And the idea, the only people in America who don't own TVs are not the people who can't afford them. It's the people who don't want them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not interested. I don't want to see this crap.
Right.
Right. It's a choice people make, and it's got nothing to do with income. Everybody owns a TV, basically, right? Doesn't
Right.
matter how much
Right.
money you have, you know. And the question of who watches it the most is basically, I would agree that somebody who doesn't work or doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the proof of this is, you ever watch daytime TV?
No.
Look at the commercials. It's always like, are you out of work? Do you need
Yeah.
a job?
Yeah.
Right. It's always during the day that daytime commercials are. Do you have bad credit?
Yeah.
You don't see the credit commercials at night.
Yeah.
They're always during the day. Because I figure the guy who's out of work, his credit is shot because he can't pay off his car anymore, right? Because he's not working, right? It's always like, those are the daytime ones, you know? And right?
Like if, let's say we had
Binder and Binder
Right.
don't come on at night.
Disability
The
insurance,
disability
yeah.
people are always during the day
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
figure if you're watching, you're not working,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're disabled, right? Binder and Binder are during
Right.
the day, right? There was another one too that's in there during that. Oh, all of the depression pills are sold during the day. You don't see them at night. All of the depression pills, all the antidepressants are sold during the day, right? Because they figure people at home, they're not working and they're depressed. So, okay, go ahead.
So, like, if we had a daily radio show, and let's say the show was focused on politics, or the show was focused on Torah,
Okay.
or the show was focused on entertainment, or the show was focused on humor.
Okay.
Like, we would lead different lives. Like, our show would be the primary focus of our life. We'd still enjoy a little sports, but it'd be much more recreational. We'd be less invested in it. We'd be less involved, and we'd primarily be involved in, okay, what are our ratings? What do we need to do to goose up our ratings? How can we get on a bigger radio station? How can we get nationally syndicated? That's what we'd be thinking about all the time. We'd be thinking about, oh, how can we move ahead with our careers?
Maybe I would be, but you'd be thinking about, how do I get chicks over? How do I parlay? How do I parlay
This is not the. You know,
How do I
sleeping
parlay?
with a lot of women is not the part.
How do I parlay? Okay, I've made it. You know, and now I've got a living. How do I parlay this into some action? And that's what you would be thinking.
Like, when life is going good for a guy, you're thinking primarily about your career. Like, if your career's going, you're like fantasizing about, how can I make more money? How can I be more successful?
Really? I was never like that.
That's how I am. I'll just speak for myself.
I was never like that. I would say it like this. I've never been like the guy who's like trying to make $1 million. I've never been that guy. I was always the guy that, like, what's the least I have to do, right? What's the minimum I have to do just so I can get by.
Shocking.
Yeah. And that's why I went into being a Unix admin, right? Because the way that it worked in the Unix world was you go through like some training and you become the Unix guy and you're like a specialty. And everybody just kisses your ass, you know, because there's really no competition because there wasn't enough of us to go around. And we just like sit there and do nothing all day until they're like, there's a Unix problem once a week. And we come in and like we fix it. And we just sit there and jerk off on the internet for 40 hours a week at work doing nothing, and it was like a joke, and I was comfortable with that. And they're like, well, you don't have management, you know, you want to move up, you have to be a manager. And I'm like, I have no interest in managing other people. I really don't. I've never been the kind of person that, like, I really want to lay your ass off, you know, and stuff like that. I don't want those headaches, right? I just leave me alone, and I just want to check my email and, you know, watch YouTubes all day. And that's what I want. And
What if your career was doing stand-up comedy?
I was doing stand-up comedy.
making a living from doing stand-up comedy.
Oh, that means like I had my own TV show or something like that.
Or some